everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in again today. Now, for the next 10 minutes, we are going to be showing you how you can get up to 45% in immediate tax benefits. Now, I know that's already got your ears wagging, so you may be asking how. Well, instead of me explaining this, we've got the expert in everything relating to Section 12J, Mr. Johannes Maria, who is the CEO of Destinata Capital. Welcome, Johannes, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Great, Damien. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Great stuff. Now, diving straight into it, Johannes, we've only got 10 minutes to talk today. For those who don't know, what is a Section 12J fund?
Okay, so I think first of all, let's start with the legislation. It was brought in by SARS in 2009, and it comes off the back of similar tax structures which have worked very well in places like the UK, Canada, and Australia. And it is essentially an incentive for taxpayers to invest into their own economy. So how the incentive works is the taxpayer gets 100% tax deduction on the amount invested. So I think the best way to explain that is with a practical example. Taxpayer A, we say both taxpayers are falling in the same tax bracket, being the max rate of 45%. Taxpayer A has got R1 million worth of taxable income that he wants to invest somewhere. He invests it into something standard that is not tax deductible, something like a call account or a money market account or a share portfolio on the JSE, for example. So that taxpayer will still have to pay 450,000 rands worth of taxes on that million. If we take the taxpayer with the same numbers and same assumptions, taxpayer B, and he makes a similar investment size, but he makes it into a tax deductible vehicle like a Section 12J fund, he will get 100% tax deduction, so a reduction of his taxable income by the million, which will bring his tax payable on that million down to zero, seeing that it was fully deducted. So taxpayer B is essentially 450,000 rand or 45% better off than taxpayer A right off the bat. And this is now, before bringing into account the performance of the underlying assets. It's purely just through the structure and the way that the tax incentive works. So clearly, it's quite a powerful incentive to actually invest in the South African economy.
Now, Johannes, you mentioned the 45% tax bracket. Does the Section 12J fund only cater to the people sitting within that 45% tax bracket, or is it beneficial to everyone across the board, regardless of which bracket they fall in?
Okay, so obviously, the higher your tax bracket, the bigger the benefit will be to you, but it's available to any South African taxpayer. And also not only to individuals, it's any entity type as well. So whether you are an individual, and that includes pay-as-you-earn employees or provisional taxpayers, people who work for themselves, or a company or a trust, any entity that pays tax in South Africa. Obviously, like I mentioned, somebody falling in the 18% tax bracket, which is the lowest tax bracket for individuals, his benefit is going to be equal to 18% of his investment, where the taxpayer in the higher tax bracket will get a bigger benefit, obviously.
Right, and I think personally, even an 18% reduction in tax benefits that you get will be an amazing sort of gift from SARS, if you want to call it that. Now, in terms of the Section 12J, the way the structure is set up, can someone invest any time in the year, or are there optimal times that you would suggest would be the best times to invest?
No, that's quite an important thing to note, the timelines. So typically what's happened in the past is, again, let's start with the legislation. The Act allows you to claim the tax deduction in the same tax year in which the investment is made. Now, typically, our tax year runs from the 1st of March to the 28th of February. So what investors traditionally did was they would hold on to their cash up until right before the end of the financial year or the tax year, and then make the investment, because then they qualify within that year. So the investor that made the R1 million investment let's say in our previous tax year, which ended now on 28 February 2021, if he made his investment on the 27th or the 28th even, he still would completely qualify for within that tax year. If he made the investment on the 1st of March, he would only qualify in the next tax year, so the 2022 tax year. So that's historically how investors did it. What's important now is, though, for this specific tax year that we're in now, we are in the 2022 tax year, which does end on the 28th of February 2022. But there's a sunset clause that has been activated by Treasury. And in a nutshell, what that means is that after the 30th of June 2021, the investment won't attract the tax benefit anymore. So what does that mean practically? For me to claim the tax deduction in the 2022 financial year or tax year, I need to make my investment on or before 30 June 2021, as opposed to what I normally would do in terms of just doing it right before the end of the tax year. So you're doing it 4 months into the year now, rather than right at the end, but the effect is still exactly the same.
Now, Johannes, I think you've whet a lot of people's appetites just hearing what you have to say and talking about the benefits of a Section 12J. What is the process one has to go through to invest or apply to invest in a Section 12J fund?
Okay, typically for investments like this, the Companies Act requires a minimum investment of R1 million per investor, because then the Companies Act deems you to be a sophisticated investor. Something that we do a little bit differently is we're a publicly registered company and we issue prospectuses in the windows when we want to raise capital. What the prospectus allows us to do is to take in investments of below R1 million. So it opens it up to a wider investor base. So the steps to invest: read the prospectus. It's available on our website. Right at the back is an application form. You fill it in. If you're unsure as with what exactly to do, any of our staff members will be able to help you. There's contact details on the document itself. You send that in and you pay across your cash portion of your investment. That's basically the part that you need to do. What happens after that is now to claim the tax deduction. We will issue the investor with a S12J certificate, a tax certificate, which you will then give to your accountant or your tax practitioner. Your tax practitioner will use the certificate to claim your tax benefit.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, Johannes. Now, I know, guys, that was quite a lot of information to take in a short time. So if you want to get more information about how to save on your taxes or how to invest in property or using specialized trusts, then you need to join one of our Wealth Masters events. So we have two coming up. The first one is on the 5th of May, which will be in Durban. That'll be only for people in person. So if you're staying in Durban, you need to book as soon as possible. There are very limited seats available for that. And then the next one after that will be on the 8th of May, which we will be doing both in-person studio and a live stream webinar. So that's a full day webinar from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon. If you want to join the webinar, it is absolutely free, but you have to register. So make sure you visit www.wealthmastersclub.com. All the information is there on the homepage, and we will also share all the details in the description below. Thanks so much, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.